Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. And friends, let me give you a little bit of news, just in case you don't know. This channel has reached over 100 subscribers now. And because of that, I was able to finally customize my channel URL so that it's now youtube.com/Derek John Thomas. Very easy to remember if you want to tell any of your friends. Just pass that right along. But I do want to say thank you very much to all of my over 100 subscribers. In fact, one of my friends was subscriber number 111, and I thought that was so cool. One of my online friends, you know who you are. Thank you, and congratulations to you, and thank you to everyone for supporting me and this channel and the content that I'm trying to share with the world. Again, thank you. I will say thank you again at 500, I will say thank you again at 1,000, and so on, I hope. So friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is the time when I use tarot spreads to delve into topics related to living an intentional life. So, for quite a while now, I have been using my week ahead spread for this video because it's been working out so wonderfully. And as usual, I'm using my week ahead spread. So the spread has already been laid, and let's take a look at it. These decks are beautiful, and I'm sorry to say that this is going to be the last week I'm going to be using these for a while, because the new moon is coming. It arrives in South Korea here. Did you know I'm in South Korea? It arrives in South Korea here on, I believe, August 8th. So the decks will be switched for next week. And if you are interested in these decks and who created them, as usual, there will be information at the end of the video, maybe it's that way, as to who the creators are, and there will be links in the description box below if you want to purchase any or all of these decks. Just information, the Tarot de Saint Croix by Lisa de Saint Croix that I'm using is the first edition. It is out of print. The second edition is in print, but it does not have the orange borders, which a lot of people prefer. I personally love the orange borders. I like orange. Who knew? Working with this deck, I was surprised to find out how much I actually do like orange, especially as a border on this deck. However, you can get the Tarot de Saint Croix without borders, which is also beautiful. And there will be a link below for that. So friends, we've got this setup as usual. 3 cards in the center from an oracle deck, and then 4 questions around that set of oracle cards, which we will answer with 2 sets of tarot cards. So our first step is to take a look at the central theme of this spread, which is the oracle cards. So let's take a look. If you saw last week's video, you know that it was about choices. The choices that we make about our thoughts, because we can choose what to do with our thoughts, especially if they're negative thoughts. If they're positive thoughts, if they're happy thoughts, if they're thoughts that open us up and increase the love in our lives, then there's nothing we need to choose about them. We want to move with them, to expand them, to allow them to carry us up. However, when they are negative or less than positive, then we have the ability to make the choice about what to do with them. And I made a full video about that, and if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a card up here at the top so you can hop on over to that video now if you want. Or it's also in my playlist for the Hanged Man in the Moon. So This week we're also, as you can see, talking about choices. Yeah, that timeline card appeared again this week. So let's take a look at what this set of 3 cards has to say. We start out with the throat chakra card, and then we move to a card that has a lot of multicolored boxes in it. Remember that? Called containers. And then we have the timeline card, which shows a crossroads. Yeah, and it has signs pointing in directions. Yeah, take this path, go this way. And we start with the throat chakra card. The throat chakra. Do you know about the chakras? The chakra system is a system that comes to us from Hinduism and yogic practices. And depending on the teacher, the number of chakras can be different. Standard is about 7. Some teachers teach 8. Some teachers teach transpersonal chakras, which go up to like 14. But the standard is 7 and go from a root chakra at the base of the torso up to a 6th and 7th chakra, which is the crown chakra above the head. And the throat chakra is here at the throat. It's a blue colored chakra. Each chakra has a color association as well as an element and a function. And you saw on the card, there was a blue ball right around here, which is where the throat chakra is. And it was a fairly large ball. Sizes does not matter here as well as other things, but how open it is does matter. And what is the throat chakra? The throat chakra is the chakra of communication, which makes sense because it's the throat. But it's not only the throat, it's also the ears. It's communication in both directions. It's the center of communications both for expression and for reception. Sometimes our throat chakra can be blocked. It can be blocked for several reasons. One reason could be we don't feel heard. We don't feel like what we have to say is worthy of attention, or that what we have said is being accepted or it has been rejected by those around us. Yeah? That feeling of being unheard can block our throat chakra. And our sense of unworthiness can also block our throat chakra. It can block our root chakra as well, but our sense of unworthiness can block several chakras, including our ability to express ourselves. It can be blocked by fear. The fear of hearing also. Yeah? Sometimes we don't want to hear. We don't want to hear what other people have to say. We don't want to hear what is going on around us. And at those times, we also block our own throat chakras. It's also the chakra of truth. It's the chakra of truth. And sometimes we block our throat chakra when we disallow someone else's truth. We don't want to hear someone else's truth because we're afraid it's going to interfere with us. It's going to interfere with our dreams or with our expectations or our hopes for ourselves or for others. Those blockages shut down the doors of communication. And for those of us who want to live intentional lives, we know that intention flows through our throat chakra. It flows through all of our chakras, indeed. But the throat chakra is where we send our intention out into the world. Because intention, there are 2 aspects of intention. There's the ever-flowing, powerful current of intention, which we either move with or we resist. And frankly, no matter how much we try to resist the powerful force of intention, we can't resist it 100%. It is that strong. However, we can put up a good fight. We can, in the words of one of my favorite teachers, Abraham Hicks, turn our boats upstream and start trying to fight the current in the other direction, thinking that we're working hard and moving in the direction of what we want, when everything that we want, according to them and according to me, is downstream, because that is the direction in which intention flows. There is another aspect to intention. Yeah, we also form intentions for ourselves. Every time we make a choice, a positive choice, a choice about what we want to experience, what we want to create, the relationships we want to have, the places we want to live, the jobs we want to do, the projects, the creativity we want to engage in. Each one of those choices is also an intention which we toss out into the flow of intention. Now, this is all one current of intention, and we set out experiences intentionally onto the flow of our intention. And the course of our intention shifts a little bit every time we set an intention to be able to include that in the overall flow, the river of our lives. So, a lot of that intention flows through the throat chakra. And when that is blocked, we don't block intention as a whole, but we block our ability to send our intentions out into the world. Not 100%, because we're always doing that. We're always sending intention out there. However, our efficacy is greatly reduced when our throat chakra is shut down. It is also the center where we discern truth. We discern our own truth and the truth of what we are receiving through our throat chakras. For example, when we hear something, have you ever noticed that someone says something to you that doesn't sound quite right? Have you noticed that the words you heard and the energy behind them were mismatched? We discern that through the throat chakra. The most extreme example that I remember hearing from another teacher, and I love repeating it, is when your mother or father or some guardian figure or mentor figure turns to you and says, "Don't you know that I love you?" At that moment, they are not exactly expressing love. Those words and the energy behind them do not match. And we feel that through our throat chakras. It might resonate in our heart chakra as well. But that first discernment of mismatch is part of that throat chakra. We discern the rightness or unrightness of what we are hearing, what we are receiving, what we are perceiving. And also it's the place through which we express our own truths, and where we can tell what we are saying is our truth or something that we think others want to be our truth. Sometimes our words and our energies don't match either, because we're human. Have you noticed yourself saying things that you don't mean just to make somebody else happy? I've done it. I've done it frequently. We all do it. And some of them we call them white lies, to smooth things over, but we feel that difference. And part of that feeling comes through the throat chakra, where we sense the truth of what we are saying or the untruth of what we are saying. Now, the next card is containers. And the image on this card and the meaning in the book were a little bit surprising to me, because the meaning for containers, according to the book, and the meaning that I am going to be using here, is our boundaries. Now, the containers we create around ourselves. And there are healthy containers and unhealthy containers. Do you agree with that? Do you notice that you have boundaries? Do you notice that sometimes your boundaries are more porous than others? Do you notice that sometimes your boundaries feel very healthy and sensible, and sometimes they feel like a brick wall? Have you noticed that difference? Because all of our boundaries that we set, sorry, I keep feeling like there's a bug here. Maybe I'm feeling something around my throat chakra. Maybe it's just sweat. Okay, so containers, the boundaries that we set. Sometimes they are very healthy boundaries, and we want to have healthy boundaries because those healthy boundaries help filter sometimes hostile, sometimes negative, sometimes damaging energy from coming into us. And we want that. We want to have healthy boundaries. We want to set healthy limits. Depending on our state, the quality of that healthy boundary can be different. Yeah? The more confident I am, the more loving I'm feeling, the more open I am feeling, the thinner that boundary can become in a very healthy way. Sometimes when I'm feeling weaker perhaps, or more put upon, or burdened, or unhappy, or sad, at those times I may need to have thicker boundaries to maintain my own security. And that is fine. That is good. That is healthy. Having boundaries that can change depending on our current state is a healthy thing. However, there are times when our boundaries are limiting. Sometimes our boundaries are not just filtering negative or unwanted energy from coming in, they're preventing everything from coming in. We are so guarded and so protective of the possibility of vulnerability that we disallow connection. At those times, we experience those boundaries as a prison. We experience those boundaries not as boundaries, but as prison walls. And that is where the container becomes unhealthy. That is where we begin to block ourselves off. We become so resistant, we are starting to fight the powerful force of intention in our lives. Our boundaries can become energetic prisons. Have you ever found that for yourself? That was pointed out to me quite a while ago. That it felt like I was hiding inside guarded walls. That my truth was not being revealed. And at the time, I didn't quite understand what they were saying. I thought I was being open as far as I thought I was able to safely. But eventually I realized that no, I wasn't just being careful and safe and setting a healthy boundary. I had built up a barricade around myself that prevented other people from coming in. And that is unhealthy in the long run. There are times when we may need to do that for ourselves, and that's okay. To take the time we need to heal, to recover from perhaps a blow or a loss of someone or something that is very important to us. However, there is always a time for us to open those prison doors and come out, to break down the walls so that we have, again, a more porous boundary between us and the world, allowing things to come in, allowing the truth to come in and allowing our truth to go back out. through the throat chakra. And then we have the timeline card. The timeline card, again, is a card for me of choices. We want to be open to the truth, to be able to make good choices on our paths. So we want to have open chakras, open throat chakras, so that we can express our truth and receive the truth from the outside, or what we perceive to be the outside. We want to have porous boundaries that will allow an exchange of healthful and healthy energy. And at that place, we can receive and express our truth and make healthy choices. A choice made in love, in vulnerability, in the positive vulnerability of openness, is a choice that will carry us farther, more quickly, along the powerful flow of intention. It is a choice that will make us feel buoyed on the river of intention, the powerful river of intention. However, a choice made in fear, a choice made with closed boundaries, with walls built up around us, with closed down throat chakras. A choice made in fear is going to be a resistant choice. It's going to be a choice of, no, I don't want this. Or a choice of, no, I can't do this, I'm going to run away. Or a choice of, I'm going to do the thing I know. And you know what they say about repeating the same choices and expecting a better result? That is sometimes half-jokingly called insanity. Choices made from fear, from our prisons, are choices of resistance that close us down even further and cause us to sink further in the river of intention. And again, this is not an ultimate choice that I'm talking about here. Because there are no ultimate choices. Even a choice that may cause us to leave these current bodies is not an ultimate choice. We'll come back, we'll have another life, and we'll get to make more choices in the future. However, the choices that we make in fear will cause us to sink. However, we always have the choice to open back up again when we're ready. So, when we're feeling depressed, have you ever felt or experienced true depression? Not that, oh, I'm so depressed today, but depression. That I can't get out of bed. Diagnosed or undiagnosed, have you experienced depression? That is the bottom. And choices that we make from that state are not generally going to move us forward. They're going to keep us there. Until we're able to finally open the door, even just a crack. And once that door opens just a crack, then we can start making different choices. But when we're there and we're still managing the best that we can, we're still choosing in that non-energetic state. We're not going to be making choices that will move us forward, but that's okay. That is okay. Because those choices we're making in depression are not the final choices we will make. That door will open, even just a crack. And when it does open just a crack, and the light shines in just a little bit more, our choices will be changed. And some of that ballast that has been weighing us down will slip out of that crack and we'll start to rise just a little bit, perhaps imperceptibly, but we will start to rise. And then we'll be able to start making better choices along our path. And we can discern those choices that we are making here through our throat chakras. We can discern here what our container is like. Is it a porous one or not? And knowing that, we can also know what kind of choices we are making. And perhaps hold off on making choices, especially big choices or important choices. Hold off on making those choices until we're ready to make the choice. Because there are some choices that we have to make at the moment, on the spot. There are those choices, certainly. But if we can, it is best for us to wait until our barriers are open, until we are ready to speak and discern our truth. That is the time to open the doors and make our choices. And those choices, the choices that we make with porous boundaries, the choices that we make with open, glowing, radiant throat chakras, are the choices that are going to propel us forward towards what we have intended with the powerful current of intention. Okay, friends, let's take a look at the 4 questions around this spread, because these questions are going to help us quite a bit. The first question is lovely. How am I willing to change? Because that's what we've been talking about, right? Now, if your throat chakra is open and your boundaries are nice and porous and you're interacting in very healthful ways, very healthy ways with those around you, receiving truths, allowing the untruths to just slide down your porous boundary, no choices need to be made. Well, the one choice you can make is to continue as is. However, when we're not in that place, how am I willing to change? The first card is Justice, the second card is the Page of Cups, and these are a lovely match for this question. How am I willing to change? The first card, Justice. I am willing to be justice. Justice is the card of fairness, of equity, of equilibrium and truth. I am willing to become my truth. I am willing to become my own equilibrium. And to do that, what do I need to do? I need to heal my throat chakra. To be able to hear the truth, to be able to speak the truth in a balanced way. To be able to hear and experience and express fairness for myself and for others. Equity, true equity. Equity for myself and equity for you. That all comes through the throat chakra. So, how am I willing to change? I am willing to become justice. I am willing to be justice. I've got my scales, I've got my sword, and I'm willing to speak truth. And hear truth, receive truth. Because we have our truths, we have our own truth, certainly. But our truth is not the same as their truth. Your truth is not the same as my truth. And with an open throat chakra and healthy boundaries, I am able to hear your truth in justice and hear the justice behind your truth. And that, I think, is what we're learning more and more globally these days. So how am I willing to change? I am willing to become justice. And then become the Page of Cups. Because the Justice card can be a little bit cold. Just a little bit. Yeah? Truth can be at times cold. It's an air sign, right? It's an air card. And we want to have love with it. That innocent, pure love of the Page of Cups. And in this card, did you notice this page is looking inside a glowing, radiant box? There are a lot of glowing, radiant boxes in the Fountain Tarot. Have you noticed? It's lovely, it's wonderful, it's a beautiful image. The page is looking inside of a radiant box. This is the creative page, the page of creative opportunities. And with justice, carrying forward with our ability to create in the world, the opportunity to create in the world is a beautiful thing. The Page of Cups is a card of intuitive messages because we don't want our truth to just be coming from our brains. We want our truth to also be revealed through our intuition and to receive the truth intuitively as well. Because not everyone is able to speak their truth. Some of it we need to be able to intuit as well. And that is the Page of Cups. It's curiosity. Yeah, we don't want to sit in justice in an immobile position. We want to be curious about what is the truth. We want to feel around and find the truth as well. Not just wait for it to come to us. We want to be curious about what is the truth here. What is my truth and what is the truth out here in the world that I'm experiencing? It's the card of possibilities because there are so many possibilities for us. We are beings of infinite potential. And the Page of Cups realizes that. Opening the box and looking inside and wow, look at all of that possibility. The Page of Cups is the dreamer, the sensitive, the poetic one. And we want to integrate that with our sense of justice. Poetic, expansive, sensitive justice is compassionate justice. It's loving justice. It's creative justice. So how am I willing to change? I am willing to be the Page of Cups, holding the sword and balance of justice and doing it all. I'm willing to be the sensitive, just one, the poetic one of fairness and equity, the intuitive truth seeker. That's how I'm willing to change. And if I can accomplish even a small percentage of that, then I will become a powerful creator in this world, as I am flowing powerfully with the flow of intention. Let's take a look at the next question. As we change, as we become, we also become responsible. And that is the next question. What am I responsible for? And you see these two cards are also a beautiful answer. The first card is the Hermit. The second card is the Nine of Coins. Interesting pairing, right? And you notice that the Hermit is looking at or towards the Nine of Coins card. So the Hermit, soul searching, introspection, sometimes being alone. Sometimes we need to go into our caves. Even if we're not shutting down, building up a barrier of protection around us, even with healthy, porous boundaries, we sometimes want to go into our cave and look within. Because it's in quiet that we are more able to hear hear our truth. Hear the truth arising from within. Hear our intuition. Now, sometimes the noise around us prevents us from hearing clearly our own voice. So sometimes we need to go into a sheltered space, a quiet space, sometimes a dark space, to hear and look within. It's the card of inner guidance, wisdom, internal knowledge, erudition, if you will, and also mentorship. Yeah? When we come out of the cave, we can become a mentor for those around us. But first, we need to do the discernment. And I am responsible for my discernment. I'm responsible for going in and doing the inner work. Some of us call it shadow work. I prefer not to follow that trend. I don't call this shadow work and this light work. It's just the work. It's discernment. It's looking within, because looking within into that area that is difficult to see sometimes is not only looking for the nasty gremlins, it's also looking for the jewels within. And there are jewels hidden within each of us that we are not perceiving right now. And that's part of the hermit's work, going in and looking for those jewels that are hiding within, and sometimes within those gremlins that we're afraid of, within each of us. So, I'm responsible for taking the time and putting the focused energy into hermiting for myself. And then coming out and 9 of coins-ing. What do I mean, 9 of coins-ing? 9 of coins is the card of abundance, of luxury, of prosperity and refinement. I'm responsible for feeling that. I'm responsible for feeling my abundance right here, right now. That responsibility is not on the world. That responsibility is not on conditions around me. I could feel just as greedy, resentful, needy in a hut in the middle of a dry, barren desert with no water and no food, as I can in the middle of the most luxurious home in the richest neighborhood of the most affluential place I can think of. I could be in the middle of a luxurious estate in I'm going to pick Beverly Hills. Never been there except on a tour bus, but and I don't want to live there, but let me just pick Beverly Hills out of the hat. So, a luxurious, stately mansion in Beverly Hills. And I could feel like I am poor, I am needy. Because it's not the conditions, it's me. I am responsible for my own sense of abundance. I am responsible for my own feeling of luxury. I could be sweaty in the middle of a dirty, mud-caked, hot area with no shade and get a cool drink of water and feel absolutely luxurious. Just as luxurious as I would feel in a gold-plated, moderately warm, I don't like hot, moderately warm tub in the middle of that mansion I was talking about. My sense of abundance is my responsibility. And I'm not saying it's also creating actual abundance, creating a place of that I feel comfortable living in is also my responsibility, sure. And that's part of living an intentional life. However, more important than the actual conditions is my feeling of abundance, my feeling of luxury, my feeling of prosperity, my feeling of refinement, that the things that I have around me are my things and they are beautiful, and I appreciate them. Whether it's just one sweater or a closet full of clothes. Why am I thinking sweater in the middle of this heat? I don't know. But still, whether it's one sweater or a closet full of clothes. It's also the card of independence and self-sufficiency, and I am responsible for that. I am responsible for my own independence. I am responsible for my own self-sufficiency in the world. So, what am I responsible for? I'm responsible for doing the inner work, going into my cave, doing the discernment, coming out and feeling my abundance, feeling my security, feeling my self-sufficiency, so that I can carry that forward into the world and be open to flowing with intention. Let's take a look at that third question. The third question is, how can I shine more brightly? And this question made me think of a Bible verse. So I got up and I went to check it just to be sure, because I don't want to misquote. Now, this is a very commonly referred to Bible verse. And I'm using a translation from the New American Standard Bible, and it's from Matthew 5:15, which means the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 15. And it goes like this: "Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house." Let me say that once more. "Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house." So why did I think of this? Now, how can I shine more brightly? Made me think of, don't hide your light under the bushel, which a lot of people say. And that comes from this Bible verse. People do not light a lamp and put it under a basket. One, it'd probably burn the basket, but it also defeats the purpose of lighting the lamp. However, a lot of us hide our light. And that's part of having that closed off chakra and walls instead of porous barriers, yeah? Instead of having a healthy boundary, constructing walls around us to protect ourselves. It's just the same as hiding a light under a basket. So the other choice would be to remove the basket so that our light can give light to all those who are in the house, all of those in our sphere, all of our people who we are in relation with, whether they're actually people who live in the same physical structure as us, or those who are within our spiritual or energetic sphere, our houses. Now we want to shine our light on those who are around us, physically and spiritually and energetically. And we can't do that if we're shut down. We can't do that if we're closed off. So how can I shine more brightly? That is our objective, right? Opening up our throat chakra, getting our boundaries healthy but porous, allows us to shine more brightly. And the answers to that question are two. One, the 8 of Swords, and the other is the Ace of Coins. Lovely answers. Absolutely beautiful answers. The 8 of Swords. In the Tarot des Saint-Croix, we see, instead of a woman bound up, blindfolded, with swords around her, we see a bird, perhaps a raven or a crow, with swords around the bird. However, did you notice that to one side, there's a gap large enough for that raven or that crow to escape from? However, the bird is not looking in that direction. The bird is looking in the direction that only shows barrier. And the Eight of Swords is the card of negative thoughts. Those swords represent negative thoughts that close us off. Yeah? The walls that we build up around us are built of negative thoughts. It's the card of self-imposed restrictions. Because as we change our boundaries to barriers, we restrict ourselves, our ability to create in the world, our ability to relate and interrelate, our ability to shine. It is also the card of victim mentality, and a lot of the time the reason we create those barriers is because we believe we are victims. We write in our books that we are the victim. And sometimes it does start off with victimhood. Sometimes we are a victim. Sometimes we are temporary victims of violence of some kind. Physical violence, emotional violence, verbal violence, energetic violence. Sometimes we actually are victims. And sometimes we do need to, like I said, put up a wall, a temporary wall for us to heal. Sometimes we need that safety, but we don't want to live there. We don't want to become the victim. We experienced victimhood at the time of the violence, certainly. But we often, if not usually, carry that victimhood forward, beyond the violence, into the rest of our lives. And we self-describe as the victim, either just within the quiet of our hearts or out into the world. Hello world, I am a victim. And we make ourselves victims of more violence, sometimes in that way. Sometimes the walls that we erect to protect us invite more violence. There are some people who see other people who are very protected and say, they think, I can get in there. Whereas they see someone who does not have those barriers put up around them and they ignore them because there's no challenge there. There's nothing for them to break down. There are those in the world who, perhaps because of their victimhood, want to inflict their victimhood on others. And one way to do that is to see people with walls that they can tear down. Physically, emotionally, energetically, verbally, whatever. Sometimes we create our own extension of victimhood throughout our lives. So how can I shine more brightly? How can I escape my own? How can I shine as myself in my truth? How can I let my victimhood go when I am in a safe space? When I am no longer confronted by violence, how can I let my victimhood go? That's what we need to do. And that's part of taking responsibility and going in to do the work of the hermit. And once I've done the work of the hermit, coming out, taking responsibility for my own sense of abundance and self-sufficiency, and then coming out of my cage. And when I come out of my cage, then I can shine more brightly. When I see the gap in my own self-created barrier, when I see the gap and I come out, then I will shine. And flow with the powerful force of intention. And then I will have the Ace of Coins available to me. Once I come out of my barrier, then I will have Ace of Coins experiences. Ace of Coins, new opportunities, manifestation. All those intentions that I've been lobbing over my wall. Because even when we're barricaded in, some of our intentions get over that wall. But we can't get to them because we built this barrier around us. But when I come out to shine, they manifest. I feel the abundance. The Ace of Coins is the card of abundance again, and possibilities like the Page of Cups, but physical. Possibilities with resources and things to play with and investigate and look around and touch and smell and taste and feel and hear. All of those sensory possibilities. And the more I feel those possibilities and potentials and opportunities, I will shine even more. Now, the shine begins when I come out of my barriers, of course. The shine begins. But when I see another opportunity, I shine more. When I see possibilities, I shine more. When I see abundance, I shine even more. And I continue shining more brightly. But first I got to come up from those swords, that barrier that I've created around myself. Let's look at that fourth question. This last question is, what moves me? Now, what moves me? Well, first, the powerful force of intention moves me because that's what it does. I am moving with the powerful current of intention. However, there are also other things that move me. And we have two answers. One is the star from the Tarot de Saint Croix, and we have the Queen of Swords from the Fountain Tarot. Now, in the star card in the Tarot de Saint Croix shows the goddess Nut. Now, the goddess Nut is an Egyptian goddess who is the goddess of the sky. And you see her arching the earth with the stars in her body. And she has several roles, among them being she protects. She protects from the chaos. She protects life on earth from chaos. She is also the mother of gods. Yeah? The primary gods came forth from Nut. She is also the conduit through which the sun goes at night. Yeah? The sun enters her mouth at sunset, goes through her body, and is born again on the other side of her and the world. So she is a mother goddess extraordinaire, a heavenly mother goddess, and a protector from chaos. And she is a very appropriate symbol for the star card, because the star card is a card of hope. It's a card of faith. And what more hopeful thing than something that keeps us within a safe, orderly universe, like Nut does. It's a card of optimism. It's a card of spirituality. Now, the star card is the card that is just after the tower. In the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, the tower is when everything crumbles. All of our structures have crumbled and broken down, and the star card is the first card after our first steps forward from disaster with hope, with a vision for the future. It's a card of inspiration. It's a card of visions. Yeah? The visionary card. Where am I going to go from here? So, what moves me is my sense of hope, my faith in the future and in myself in the present. It's my optimism and sense of purpose. Now, I have a purpose here in this body. As a spiritual being having this human experience, I have a purpose. And my purpose, for me, is joy. My purpose here in this physical plane is to experience joy, and to create, and to evolve, and to experience. But mostly all of that is for the joy of doing it. I'm not here doing stuff to satisfy someone else. There's no one else to satisfy. All there is the one, and I am one with the one. You are one with the one. The only one you have to satisfy is you. Your purpose is your joy, your true joy. Not your excitement, not your momentary pleasure, but your deep sense of joy, of being, of love, of loving. That's the joy we're talking about. And it's also the card for me of the North Star. And when I say North Star here, I'm not talking about the actual North Star in the sky, but each of us has our own North Star. That direction that our inner compass points towards when we are doing what we want, what we know we want to do. When we are doing what we call the right thing, whatever that is for us. Your right thing is not the same as my right thing. But we each have our own North Star and our inner compass that points us in that direction. And our emotions tell us when we're off course. We start getting irritated or grumpy or angry or depressed. However, when we're lined up, we're flowing with the powerful flow of intention. We're flowing with the current of intention when we are pointed downstream with our compass towards our North Star. So what moves me is my North Star, being in the flow, being in the zone, we used to say, but being in the flow of intention and open to it and moving in the direction of my North Star and you moving in the direction of your North Star. And how they interact and weave together and create together is a beautiful thing. Demanding that your North Star be my North Star is resistant and closes you off from the powerful force of intention. You follow your star, I'll follow my star. We will sometimes be in union, we will sometimes be parallel, we will sometimes be divergent, and that's all beautiful. And when we're open to that, we feel our movement, we feel motivated. And then the next card is the Queen of Swords. I love the Queen of Swords. And my interpretation or my understanding of the Queen of Swords is not the widow. She's not the one who has suffered and learned from experience, although all of us learn from experience, of course. However, she doesn't need to be the one who is the experienced one from pain and suffering, which is oftentimes a traditional reading of the Queen of Swords. For me, she is the independent thinker. She is the unbiased judgment card. She is the card of clear boundaries. No barriers, but clear boundaries. She's the card of direct communication. She's the card of clear communication. The card of an open throat chakra. The card of clear boundaries but not cut off walls. Independence but interactive. She'll cut you to the quick if she thinks that it's required. Yeah? She hears BS, she'll cut you to the quick with her sword. She's also the clever one to me. She's the witty queen. She's the one with the sharp but quick and clever tongue. Do you know Dorothy Parker? Dorothy Parker is an author from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. She wrote for magazines in New York. She was part of the Algonquin Club, which was an exclusive club of the intellectual elite in New York for a time before she moved to Hollywood and started writing scripts for movies and stuff. She wrote things like, I recall that she was the one who said about Oakland, there's no there there. I think she said that, or maybe that was Gloria Steinem. Anyways, she did write, men never make passes at girls who wear glasses, which is seen today is perhaps not the most evolved statement. However, at her time, that was a very clever thing. And she made some very, very clever comments. She wrote a 2-sentence scathing review of a play once. House Beautiful, Play Lousy, I think was her review. The review of the play's name was House Beautiful, I believe, and her review was House Beautiful, Play Lousy. I mean, she was known for her quick, short, scathing comments. And she's totally Queen of Swords. Because when it's called for, she will cut. But only when it's called for. Yeah? She is one of clear communication. And sometimes that clear communication is communication of love, of understanding, of truth, of joy. So what moves me? What moves me is my hope, my sense of optimism and purpose, and my independent thinking. Not dependent on those around me to make my decisions for me. Being self-confident in making my decisions and speaking my truth. Communicating. That moves me. Both of them in concert together. So, where have we gone with this thread? Let me recap. So, we start with open throat chakras. Clear boundaries, making good choices, powerful choices, positive choices from a state of openness and allowing. Being willing to change, to become justice and sense the possibilities therein. Being responsible for my own work, my own inner work, and my own sense of abundance, my own sense of security and prosperity. Being willing to shine, opening the doors and shining for myself and those around me. Now, stepping out of my self-created cage and recognizing the possibilities and potentials and shining even more. And then being moved by my own feeling of hope and my sense of independence. Speaking my truth, speaking the truth with clarity and conviction. And in that state, the choices that we will make will be powerful, open, taking advantage of the energy of intention. So friends, what do you think? I'd love to hear from you. As usual, there will be a description, the cards and the creators will appear before your very eyes. You will see the truth in who created these beautiful, beautiful cards. And hit the like button if you feel called to. Subscribe. Again, we've got over 100 subscribers now, and if you're not a subscriber, I welcome you to join the small crowd of lovely people who have subscribed to my channel. And I will be grateful for you as well. Hit the alarm bell if you want to get notifications of when I upload videos. And share this with people who you think might get benefit from it. I'd love to see this get out into the world and conversation begin or continue. And comment below. I'd love to hear from you because you are beautiful people. I'd love to see your light shine here as well. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.